We had to wait for a long time, but this weekend it's time for a Grand Prix again. In Belgium, the starting gun is fired for the second half of the F1 season with an extremely exciting title battle between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Every race counts now. The circuit of Spa-Francorchamps was already used in 1925 for the first Grand Prix, and since 1985 the only Belgian circuit that is allowed to organise a Grand Prix in the country. It is not surprising that it is commonly used circuit because Spa is loved by the drivers, with many unique corners like Eau Rouge, Pouin, Blanchimont. The circuit is in the Ardennes and is a pair on the calendar. Besides unique corners, the circuit combines it with long straights, which makes overtaking definitely possible. The first Belgian Grand Prix was held in 1925 and was won by Alberto Ascari. The race was not part of the official F1 calendar, as the championship would only be established in 1950. Also in that year, Belgium was on the calendar, and the Spa race was won by Juan Manuel Fangio. Throughout the years, Spa-Francorchamps has organised almost all editions of Belgian Grand Prix. Sometimes there was years in between the circuits, the Zolder and Nivelles were used as replacements. Between 1975 and 1982, it was even Zolder that organised every Belgian Grand Prix. However, since 1985, Spa has been the only circuit where an F1 race has been held at Belgium. In terms of record, Ferrari is the record winner at Belgium. 18 times the Italians have won. 4 of those were won by Michael Schumacher, who is the driver with the most wins. He stood on the highest step of the podium 6 times in totals. Among the current drivers, Kimi Raikkonen and Lewis Hamilton won here the most, nearly 4 times. Last year, Grand Prix was not exactly a memorable Grand Prix. While the race usually provides spectacle, that was not the case in 2020. Lewis Hamilton took pole ahead of Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen. In that order, the top 3 would finish. There were no changes at the front despite a safety car. On that note, there is more hope for this season. Unlike 2020, in 2021 there is attention to each almost Grand Prix, and that might cause a spectacle at Spa. Here you can overtake, but there is not risk. Will the two keep in one piece, unlike in Silverstone all those weeks ago? According to weather.com, there's a high chance of rain. On Friday, the chance of rain is 89%. On Saturday, it will be 88%, and Sunday, 76%. So it will decrease during the weekend, but showers are expected. And we know when it gets to Spa, it does rain quite hard. Besides the showers, the temperature is also low. For the whole weekend, a maximum of 16 degrees is expected. This, of course, means that rain will still stay longer on the cold asphalt. Whether this rain will actually fall is always the question. Everything depends on Verstappen's engine this weekend. If the Dutchman chooses to put a new Honda engine in his car this weekend, it will be a matter of damage limitation, and Hamilton could be the expected winner. If Verstappen doesn't, we can expect a spectacle. With the rain forecast for the entire weekend, it could be a spectacular weekend. If it rains, it could be dry in another part of the circuit. We've seen in the kind of scenes that can cause even a 7-time world champion is not absolutely faultless. In the rain, it will be a clash of the titans between Hamilton and Verstappen, as the advantages of stronger engines will be lost. Verstappen may be in the need of a win after his poor race, and Hamilton doesn't always start strongly after a break, so this would be the time for Verstappen to strike. And finally, the timetable for this weekend. First practice 10:30 to 11:30 on Friday, second 2 till 3, third practice on Saturday is 11 till midday, qualifying 2 till 3, and the race starts at 2 p.m, all in UK time. The main story in the paddock was stories about drive lineups for next year on Thursday. George Russell and Valtteri Bottas in the press conference together. Credit to F1 for doing that. They basically said a decision's probably already been made, but we don't know what it is yet. In other news, Sergio Perez and Fernando Alonso have been confirmed for next year. No surprise there really. And except for that, not a lot really. Red Bull still developing their cars. Drive to Survive been announced. Basically all you'd expect really. And in practice 1, it was Valtteri Bottas who topped the timings. Not a lot to read into this session really. It looked like Mercedes were running with significantly more power than Red Bull. Verstappen was a 10th down. Lewis Hamilton was in 18th, but he had a lap. He was a 10th lap on Bottas after the first 2 sectors, but his lap was ruined in the end by Nicholas Latifi, so he didn't get a representative run-in. And in practice 2, it was Max Verstappen who was fastest, topping Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. Once again, you couldn't really read too much into the short runs because Mercedes seemed to be turning the engine down a lot on the straights, But yeah, I think they'll be fairly confident. Long runs are kind of hard to tell too, with crashes for Leclerc and Verstappen both at the same corner. So yeah, you could say a pretty destructive practice 2 session in the end, and it's all to play for tomorrow, especially with rain expected. Before I go, here are my predictions for this weekend. On pole, I'm going to say Lewis Hamilton. I just feel like Mercedes will probably be the stronger car this weekend. They seem to have a slight edge on power unit, and as we know, that's crucial around Spa. So that's why I'm going to go for pole and win for Sir Lewis Hamilton. In second place, I'm going to go for Max Verstappen. I think it should be pretty comfortable for him this weekend, with Bottas out of contention due to the grid penalty. But in third, I'm going to go for Lando Norris. I think like Mercedes, with a Mercedes engine, it should suit McLaren this weekend, and we know how quick that McLaren is, a straight line. But it should be an interesting battle for the final podium spot with Norris, Perez, and potentially even Valtteri Bottas, presuming none of them have to take penalties, of course. But anyway guys, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, leave your thoughts, comments down below, follow on Twitter, subscription for daily wrestling news, and subscribe to our channel that's going right now, that would be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace!